today we're going to react to his story, April Complication. Credits to his story. There we go. His story. Yeah. His videos are amazing. I like it. Really, just say I like it like that. I don't know, Mama.
At his desk, he'd left a granola bar on mine. My 18-year-old daughter walked through the front door holding hands with a scrawny college kid. As a veteran, I was not impressed, so I started putting him through what I called basic training every time he came over. I made him reorganize my entire tool shed and then told him he did it wrong, so he'd have to do it again. He just smiled and said, "Yes, sir, I'll get it right this time." That wasn't enough for me, so I took him on a 6-mile hike straight uphill, hoping he'd quit halfway and show my daughter his true colors. 3 hours in, he could barely breathe, but he never asked to stop. At the top, he pulled out his phone. He'd been taking pictures of wildflowers and rock formations the whole way up. I asked him why. Emma loves nature photography, but she's never been this far out. I wanted to show her what she's missing. Then one night, my daughter called me sobbing. 3 guys followed her walking to her dorm. She was safe but shaking. I grabbed my keys, and Herbert called before I got out the door. "Sir, she's with me. She's safe." He'd already picked her up, filed the report, and walked the path to her dorm with campus security. By the time I talked to my daughter, her roommate and her mom were already there because he'd called them too. He got back on the phone and went quiet for a second. "I know I'm not the tough guy you wanted for her, but I'm not going anywhere." When he asked for my blessing 6 months later, I handed him my grandfather's ring. He looked at it, and his hands wouldn't stop shaking. I told him, "You already earned it, son." I got on the bus and paid my fare, but the woman sitting in front immediately started harassing me, shouting at the bus driver. He shouldn't be allowed on public transport because normal people like her don't feel safe. As a homeless veteran with one leg, I was used to this, and I tried to ignore it. But then she yelled for me to get off the bus. I told her I was only going to be on it for 5 minutes and was going to the cemetery to visit my wife. She made a disgusted face and said I should just lose my other leg already so I could end up next to my wife. A man in the back wearing a mask told her that was insensitive. She didn't even look at him and stood up. "I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. People like him are polluting my streets." I was getting frustrated.
Maybe
and said
you're
I
the
lost
one
my leg on
polluting
deployment.
his
She got in my
streets.
face and said if I didn't want to lose my leg, I should have stayed at home. The masked man from the back
So
defended
you
me
better
again,
shut your
but she
mouth
interrupted him,
up.
saying she has no sympathy for anyone in the military. The man got up and walked over. She turned around
Maybe
and
if
jabbed her finger into
maybe
his
if
chest, saying
you
she
had
feels
sympathy
threatened by
for
it. The man
him
didn't
in the
respond and
military,
just pulled
I
down
would
his
have
mask. Her face
sympathy
went
for
pale.
you
Honey,
getting
the man
beaten
had a
up
camouflage uniform under
by
his
me.
jacket. He was her husband, home early from deployment,
go
and
too
was on the
far,
bus to
Mama.
surprise her. We were
Maybe a
trick-or-treating
little
when
more.
SpongeBob answered the door and pulled out a wrapped gift, specifically for my little sister Lily. "This is for the birthday girl." Before I could ask
That's
how he
fat
knew that, Lily slapped
SpongeBob.
the gift from
Hey,
me, and
way
the whole
back.
class went berserk. Our teacher had said if I got it 10 times in a row, there'd be no homework for midterm, and I only needed one more flip. Everyone
One
gathered
more
round,
flip.
and I took a
One
deep
more
breath,
flip.
swinging it
One more
precisely.
flip.
It came
One
off
more
my hand
flip.
perfectly
One
and
more
started
flip.
rotating through
One
the
more
air as
flip.
planned. I smiled because I was about to go down as class legend. But then I saw a hand fly through the air, and right as my bottle was about to land, the hand slapped it off course. The bottle flew into the wall and fell. I looked over to see who hit it and saw the teacher grinning ear to ear. Nobody cheats my class. We started protesting, but he shouted to sit down, and whoever doesn't sit in the next 5 seconds will get double the homework. He then went handing out the 5,000-word essay due in 7 days with a smile. "Format your references as I asked, or you fail automatically." He sat at his desk and started flipping his own bottle to mock us. But that's when a kid from the back started laughing. The teacher leaned forward. "What are you laughing at?" But the kid just kept laughing and pointing behind him. The teacher started storming over, red in the face. "What are you laughing at?" But then suddenly he stopped, and his face changed color. The bottle I'd flipped was standing. Turns out when he'd hit it, it bounced off the wall straight on and fell down landing perfectly upright. I'd officially flipped it 10 times in a row, and he had no choice but to take the essays off our desks. His jaw was clenched the whole time. I was eating ice cream when every speaker in my house started playing the same song. When I tried to call the police, they just said, "It's not our problem that your Spotify got hacked." But they didn't know that I hadn't hered the song.
Let me respawn.
Oh, come on!
Yes.
I'll be back after
currently
this
has a
ad.
population of 9. A farmer? I definitely.
Mama, pause it. Yeah.
21
Okay.
now. Next, I gotta build a house.
Yeah,
Too
Mama.
many things I can
Yeah.
spend money on.
Okay.
Eating ice cream at the kitchen table the night my brother killed our mom. It was his favorite song. 2 days later, I scooped another bowl of ice cream, and the same song started again. I tried to pause it, but someone kept unpausing it. I switched the song, and it switched back. I couldn't take it anymore, so I destroyed my fuse box. The next night, I grabbed the ice cream from the freezer. Before I even opened the lid, every TV turned on playing the music video to the song. I searched the house and found a Polaroid slipped under the front door. Our family photo from before Mom died. My face was scratched out and my blood went cold. Only my brother had that photo. My hands started shaking because it meant my worst fears were confirmed. I picked up the phone and called 911, and right when I did, my brother came through the back door. "Long time no see," he said, slowly walking towards me. "So, did you enjoy the music?" I stared at him back. "I've had a long time to think about you in prison. You know I almost got away with it, but you had to ruin everything." He lifted up his jacket to show his waistband that had a gun. He pulled the gun out and locked the front door behind him. Then he took out his phone and started playing the song at full volume. "This is how it sounded that night, remember?" He pointed it at me, and I backed into the corner. 3, he stepped closer. 2, he put his finger on the trigger. The door kicked in on 1. That's when the police flooded my home. My brother was arrested again, and I told him, "You should have just stayed in prison." My mom told me I was 1 in 1 million, but at 25 years old, I learned the truth. When I was born, doctors noticed my right leg was abnormally stronger than the other. They lied to my mom and ruled it out as a deformity. As I got older, I got into soccer and had naturally stronger kicks, but my left leg was in severe pain because it wasn't being utilized properly. I had to work out my left leg more so I could even them out, but it took the life out of me. When I started dating my now wife, we were on a hiking trip, and the entire time I was out of breath. I revealed to her I had lost all feeling in my left leg. She was so furious I hid that from her, and we flew to America. After tests for weeks and weeks, I finally got a conclusive answer about my leg. Unfortunately, in the womb, I had a twin. They were absorbed into my leg. I was asked if I wanted to remove the muscle mass from my leg, but I said I'd rather keep it. My leg is the only thing that gives my twin life. 2 zookeepers burst through my door and said there was a venomous rattlesnake in my bathroom. My wife Jenna was in that bathroom right now, bathing our 3-year-old daughter Nadia. The zookeeper said it was an eastern diamondback, the largest venomous snake in North America, and one bite could kill a child in minutes. Then I remembered something that made my stomach lurch. Nadia was obsessed with snakes. Videos, toys, everything. She told me 100 times that if she ever saw a real snake, she was going to grab it. The zookeeper held up a tablet showing a blinking red dot. "Tracker, the signal is coming from your apartment. Someone took it from its enclosure and tampered with your building's pipe system. There's an entry point leading directly to your bathroom." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Someone put it there on purpose?" He nodded. "We need to get your family out now." We moved toward the bathroom slowly and quietly, and when I cracked the door open, my heart stopped. Jenna was in the tub with Nadia, bubbles everywhere. Nadia giggling and playing with a rubber duck, completely unaware that 5 feet behind them, a snake was coiled on the bath mat. As long as everyone stayed calm, we had a chance. Jenna saw my face first, then the zookeepers behind me, and her eyes went wide because we live in Florida, and she knew exactly what this meant. I put a finger to my lips and mouthed, "Don't move," then pointed behind her. She turned her head slowly and saw it, and her whole body went rigid as the snake's rattle twitched. Tears started streaming down her face, but she didn't make a sound. The zookeeper took one careful step forward, and that's when Nadia looked up and saw the snake, and her whole face lit up. "Mommy, look, a snake, a real snake." "Baby, don't move," I whispered. "Stay still for Daddy." But Nadia wasn't listening. "I want to pet it." The snake's rattle started buzzing, and Jenna was frozen, crying silently, holding Nadia as still as she could while Nadia squirmed and fought her grip. "Mommy, let go. I want to touch." The zookeeper took another step, and the snake's head rose with its tongue flicking. Then Nadia saw her moment and lunged, her little arms stretching toward the snake, and I watched the whole thing happen in slow motion. The snake struck, fangs sank into her forearm, and Nadia screamed as blood pooled instantly, and her arms started swelling before my eyes. I grabbed her and ran. The hospital was 11 minutes away, and
Oh my God, I'm
shouldn't
so
your
sorry,
mom
I'm
be
so
here
sorry.
by now? But she stayed
God,
quiet.
I'm so
Don't
sorry,
worry, honey.
I'm
I'm
so,
taking you
so
straight
sorry,
to the
I'm so,
police
so
station.
sorry.
But I
Guys,
noticed
I'm
she
so
wasn't crying
sorry, I'm
anymore.
so
I heard her
sorry, I'm
whisper,
so
"Oh
sorry,
yeah,
guys.
I'm gonna need police
Sorry,
for sure.
sorry,
You'll
guys,
see."
sorry,
This
guys.
was
Please
getting
don't
really
hate,
weird
guys.
now.
Please
But
don't
then I
hate,
saw
guys.
the reflection of the
Shrimpo
flashing
just took a
lights.
break
There was a
because
police
of
SUV coming
the
up behind
last
us,
one.
then
Because
another,
of the last
and then a
one.
third. We
Yeah,
were
sorry,
boxed
sorry,
in.
sorry, sorry,
"Police,
sorry.
get your
I'm
ass
so
out of the
sorry.
car now."
I'm so
"Mom, what's
sorry,
happening?"
guys,
But when I
guys,
looked
I'm
at the
so
girl,
sorry.
she wasn't scared. The cops all approached the car with their guns drawn. My mom yelled, "Officers, what did we do? You're under arrest for kidnapping this young girl." They grabbed my mom, but she said, "No, you don't understand. She's in danger." Her mom was trying to sell her, but then an older woman stepped out from behind the cops. The girl ran up and hugged her, yelling, "Mom, thank God." I was really confused now. Her mom pointed at us. "That's the woman who kidnapped my daughter from school. They were gonna take her, but I yelled, 'No, please, that girl lied to us. She doesn't even go to our school.' But her mom already had an excuse. 'Yes, she does. Look at her backpack. It has the school logo on it.' But when I said that, I noticed the cops looking at her weird. He looked suspicious. He said, 'Wait, is Story Middle School? You go there?' The girl nodded quickly, but she looked nervous. 'So you have classes with Marcus Chen?' She instantly said, 'Yes, we're really good friends.' Then, the cop grabbed the woman and took out his handcuffs. 'Wait, what did we do?' 'Ma'am, there is no Marcus Chen. Everyone knows that name is fake. They both went to jail, and they never pulled that scam again.' After deciding I was going to take my life, I decided to order pizza as my last meal on Earth. But when the pizza arrived, the receipt had a really weird note attached to it. 'Please enjoy your last meal on us. We're so sorry.' I immediately freaked out because I'd never told anyone about my plan. But when I looked closer at the pizza and the receipt, I realized I'd simply gotten someone else's order. I was relieved, but the words "last meal" still stuck out to me. So I put the address on the receipt into my GPS and drove over with the pizza. If this was actually someone's final meal, they needed to have it. I knocked on the door, and a woman in tears answered. I said, 'Your pizza was delivered to my house. I wanted to bring it back.' Her eyes lit up, and she immediately lunged to hug me. I was taken aback, but then I saw an old man in a bed behind her, hooked up to oxygen tubes and barely breathing. The woman explained through tears he was dying, and that used to take her to this pizza place every Friday, her whole childhood. This meal was his last request on Earth, as he wanted to connect with his daughter one final time. I was heartbroken, and gave her the pizza, and wished her well. I turned to leave, proud I'd done at least one good thing before taking my life. But then the old man called out to me. I turned around, and he was using all of his strength to motion his arm for me to come in. 'There's enough pizza for one more. I'm too weak to eat much anyway,' he joked. I felt myself tear up, and the woman held the door for me as I walked inside. We shared the pizza, laughing and crying at his final stories. And when I asked him, 'Why did you invite me in?' he replied, 'I've lived long enough to know when someone needs a friend.' I held the woman's hand as she said goodbye to her dad forever, and in his death, I found a reason to stay alive. Now every Friday, me and the woman have pizza together to honor him. My mom cupped my face and smiled. 'You look just like your dad,' and I grinned back. 'Good, I want to be just like him.' But a month later, he packed a suitcase and left us for another woman. The betrayal killed us both. Mom stopped eating, and I got migraines that made my nose bleed. After I coughed up blood, I dragged myself to the kitchen to tell Mom I needed a hospital, but I hid behind the doorway when I saw her crushing pills I'd never seen before into my food. She turned around with a creepy smile and yelled, 'Honey, dinner's ready.' I walked in a minute later saying, 'Mom, I don't feel good, so I'm gonna eat in my room.' 'Make sure you eat it all. It'll make you feel better,' she said. I dumped it into a bag and stuffed it in my backpack. I started buying food on the way home from school after that, and dumped the pill-infested food into a bag every night. I realized she was the one making me sick when I started feeling better. I didn't know why she did this, so when she left for work one day, I went through every drawer in her room looking for answers until I found a stack of letters, all written to my dad. She wrote that she wanted to hurt him but couldn't, so she was hurting
Oh, come on! Guys, I'll do this.
at his face. I cried until my eyes were bloodshot. Then I put the letters back and went straight to the kitchen. When she got home, I walked her to the kitchen and said, 'Come on, Mom, I made you food. You gotta start eating again. You're amazing,' she said. She finished the whole plate. Within a week, she was throwing up after my dinners. Then the migraines started, and her nose bled through tissues. Her fevers got so bad she couldn't get out of bed. And the whole time I brought her water, adjusted her pillows, and made her plate every single night. When she started coughing up blood, I drove her to the hospital, and she got admitted. That night, I walked into her room, leaned in close, and whispered, 'You made me sick because I have Dad's face. So I made you sick. And now you get to watch his face leave you all over again.' I walked out without looking back. I'm 30, and my family still treats me like a baby, so I put a knife to their throats to prove them wrong. We were at my cousin's wedding, and my aunt showed me the seating chart that had me at the kids' table. I was sat surrounded by 8-year-olds when my aunt walked over with wine in her hand, but gave me a juice box. 'Babies don't drink alcohol,' she laughed. My mom appeared and wiped the imaginary juice off my face with a napkin. They walked away laughing. You see, I'm the youngest of 7 by 10 years, so I've always been the baby no matter what. I was at the table staring at the crayons I'd been given when my uncle walked over with a plastic plate and chicken nuggets cut into pieces. He gave me a plastic fork with the prongs cut off. 'Careful with the fork, buddy.' He ruffled my hair and walked away. The kids were laughing at me. I had a medical degree and was being told to be careful with a plastic fork. I heard adults laughing behind too and decided to just leave. I went to stand up when suddenly I heard choking. I turned around, and Aunt Janet was going purple and grasping her throat. Mom was screaming, "I thought you said you grew out of your shrimp allergy." Janet collapsed and started turning blue. Someone called 911, but they were 10 minutes out. 10 minutes Janet didn't have. There was no EpiPen because she'd stopped carrying it years ago. My uncle panicked and knelt beside her. Everyone was screaming at him to do something, so he started randomly pressing her chest, which only made Janet turn more blue. I had to do something, so I grabbed a nearby steak knife and one of the kids' pens beside me. I knelt beside Janet and pushed my uncle's hands away. He screamed, "What are you doing? You're too young for this." But I didn't even reply and put the knife to Janet's throat. My mom grabbed my hand immediately. "What are you doing with that knife?" And I yelled back louder than I've ever yelled at them. "I know what I'm doing. Do you want Janet to live or no?" The entire room froze, stunned. My uncle butt in. "But you're a baby. You can't know what you're doing." That was the moment I had enough. I just looked at him and shrugged. "Okay, fine. I guess I don't. Keep doing your compressions and kill her." I backed away from Janet and went to stand up, but Mom grabbed my arm, her face pale. Okay, just do what you have to, please." Janet had maybe 3 minutes left. I got the steak knife and cut into her throat. My family watched in horror. They thought I was killing her, and every few seconds someone tapped my arm to ask if I'm sure I know what I'm doing. I opened her throat and inserted the hollow pen cap into the incision, and air started rushing through. Janet's chest rose, and slowly her color started returning. My mom hugged me so tight I lost control of the pen cap and had to put it back in the right place. And when the paramedics arrived, one of them recognized me immediately. "Dr. Yen?" My mom's head snapped. "Wait, him? A doctor?" The paramedic looked at her. "Ma'am, he's the youngest neurosurgeon in the country. You should be incredibly proud." My whole family stared at me red and embarrassed and never infantilized me again. My dad smashed my PlayStation 5 and said, "No more video games in this household." So I downloaded an educational app that has games on it, thinking he wouldn't get mad. But to my dad, it still looked exactly like a regular video game, and it pissed him off. I tried explaining, "It's not a game, Dad. I'm learning." But Dad said, "Looks like a game to me. Put it away, or else I'm gonna smash your phone next." I was really sad because the one educational app I downloaded was about the stock market, and it was actually teaching me how to invest. So I got sneaky. I played the app's trivia and dot couch. "What was that?" I scrambled. "Just my favorite character in the book just won." Dad's jaw tightened. "Read quieter." But he was suspicious of me now. So the next time when I was on the app, I clicked on the auto invest feature when I heard my dad's footsteps right behind me. I just stood up. "Dad, it's not." Dad slammed the phone down on the tile. The screen shattered. He brought his foot down on what was left until the pieces stopped moving. "And I'm not buying you a new one." But it wasn't over, because the next morning I walked into the house with a brand new iPhone I bought from investing money. Dad stopped mid-sip. "Where did you get that?" I opened the Bloom investing app I've been using and turned the phone toward him. "I paid for it myself. Remember I told you about the learning game?" Dad shook his head. "That's not possible. 15-year-olds can't open stock accounts." I scrolled to the account page. Bloom lets teens invest through a custodial account. Grandma signed off when I opened it. I scrolled to the balance, and his jaw dropped because he was proved wrong. My bully Richard cornered me in the yard for the 3rd time this week and started making fun of my arm again. "What's wrong?"
Guys, I'm going to make another video about this. It's actually 5 hours long, so yeah. I'm on story 92. I'm on story 92, and yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next video. Bye.